Where do we start? That is a good question. The alien stuff is more complex, so everything sort of stretches your brain just a little bit more. I also have Chris, pushing me to sort of make it different, make it not fully expected.
Alien ships, I think, are super interesting because they have a completely unique aesthetic inside, and this ship particularly, we wanted to create a alien cargo ship. So we wanted to have a sort of above entry-level cargo ship that could carry a good amount of cargo for its size, be well defended, multi-crew. We wanted it to be Xi'an, but we didn't want it to be AOPA, their combat brand. So we worked up this new company called Gatac, and this is the Gatac Railen cargo ship.
No, it's Gatac. That's how you say it.
Right, hard cut.
Okay, let's do a brief history of House Gatac. They were a vassal of House Urua during the Great Divide, which is the Xi'an Civil War. At the end of the Great Divide, House Klo, who didn't like the way that the peace talks were going, decided that they wanted to kill all the leaders of the houses that were engaged in peace talks. So they sabotaged the network of antique weather satellites that surrounded the Xi'an homeworld of Rixiang, and accidentally destroyed the whole atmosphere rather than just the atmosphere above the peace talks. Oops. So after this tragedy, after everybody fled the homeworld to the next closest planet, Kawa, the House Urua, in recompense for its loss, was elevated to the first imperial house. That's where the first emperors came from. And one of the first things that they did was reward people who fought under them for their service. So they awarded House Gatac a license in perpetuity to build industrial spacecraft for the entire South Xi'an. In the South Xi'an, the Xi'an Empire, they are known for being really innovative and interested in discovering the next big cool thing in technology. And that's part of why they immediately jumped on the opportunity to make a ship that would be friendly to both Xi'an and humans. Cutting edge stuff is their thing.
The alien stuff is the hardest one to sort of deal with sort of branding. We did our usual. We came up with 3 sort of strong candidates to give to Chris to have a look at. And from there, people will see that very early on, it was almost locked in. It was like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're a lot more confident in how we approach these things now. We make sort of stronger decisions right at the start to push those through. One of the big features of the ship was the fact that it changes shape massively. So that's the really nice thing about this ship. And coupled with the sort of final materials that we came up with, there's no mistaking the ship now. It's okay. This is the Gatac cargo ship. There's no messing around.
The Railen crew capacity is 4 people. So you have the pilot, you have an engineer, and then you have the 2 extra crew to man the 2 man turrets, which are on the side of the ship and provide a good range of cover for it. There is space for all 4 to be on the bridge when not in combat or elsewhere in the ship, but ostensibly that's what the 4 roles are for. The Railen has 320 SCU of cargo, and this is all pretty much external. You can see it on the back of the ship. Part visual choice, part gameplay choice. They are fixed containers on the rear of the ship, and the cargo goes inside them. So having it external allows us to keep the internals of the ship all nice and compact, but also does give a toss-up in choice between, do I pick a ship with lesser cargo but is more protected, or do I go for this, which can carry more in one run, but has the risk of, if I get jumped on in transit, my cargo is more at risk. That's something we always try and do with our ships, is not have one ship that is superior in every single way to another ship that's equal to it. We want there to be trade-offs.
Even from trying to get into the ship, it's going to be a unique experience. So essentially you've got a grav-lev platform that's going to fly through the air, come and greet you. You get on it, click a button, takes you up to the entrance of the ship through the airlock. That's where you first get your experience of the Xi'an architecture within this ship. When you choose to get on the lift to go up to habitation, you've got a console that's made out of like 50 different pieces in it, and it all builds itself into position, and you click the button, get on your elevator, which isn't the standard elevator either. At the moment it's at an angle, so you have a very different experience of like transitioning up through the floors, and the floors will also transform to sort of enable you to get through easily. So then when you're in the habitation section, you've got access to beds and lockers. You can go left and right to the turrets and escape pods. And then you've got the dual race kitchen and bathroom section, and then sort of like a communal eating area. And then from there up, basically it takes you into a more technical section. And so you can either go to a docking, which is at the rear of the ship, and then you've also got a good portion of components in like the sort of quite technically themed area of the ship. And then you transition through there towards the bridge. And again in there is, we were looking at a way of being able to access components in a non-standard way. So the big stuff we've kept quite traditional, because it makes sense, they're just there. But the smaller stuff, it's kind of like a component delivery system. So you choose which component you want to access. It's delivered to you. You can change out whatever it is you need to change, and then it's taken back off you and absorbed back into the ship. Then you just transition into the bridge, open bridge, and then, like I mentioned, the captain and the co-pilot at the front in their large, like floating, almost like UFO style seats. So I think there's plenty of great opportunity in there in terms of animation and what we can do with what's spinning, what's moving, what's reconfiguring. So I think the ship team is going to have a lot of fun with that.
So what does the Railen add to Star Citizen as a whole? It really increases the diversity of spaceships, especially alien ones, because they are entire races of creatures and they don't just have combat ships. They have their own infrastructure needs, they have their own transport needs, so whatever we do as the human race, there is going to be mirrors for those races. When you are traveling through all the solar systems in the game, you don't want to just be seeing the same freelancer or the same hull everywhere. You want this variety of ships to encounter and ships to progress through on your cargo journey.
The Gatac Railen, and I hope I'm saying this right, is the newest addition to Star Citizen's expanding line of alien vehicles, as well as the first from our newest Xi'an manufacturer. And you can learn even more about this ship, like all of its stats and capabilities, when it's revealed as part of this year's Alien Week festivities, beginning this week, which also includes the return of the tremendously popular baking contest, so get your ingredients ready. And to help you prep for all of the Alien Week festivities, let's check in now with the narrative team for a brief refresher of the known alien cultures of our galaxy. Or perhaps meet them for the very first time if you've only recently joined the Star Citizen universe.
Banu are probably the most obnoxious people in the world to ever go to a sporting event with, because they love sports, but they don't really care about the teams.
And it's kind of confusing for humans to go to a game with a large Banu crowd, because the Banu just want to see exciting, cool stuff happen. So they're cheering for everyone throughout the game.
They are totally up for having fun whenever. Like, they work hard, they play hard, they take cat naps. They are extremely interested in enjoying life.
Their society is organized around these work family guilds known as Sulis, where they're adopted from a young age as kind of an apprentice by a Suli that specializes in manufacturing spaceships or making weapons or cooking.
They're very quick to give favors, but they also expect a favor in return. So be careful if a Banu asks you to, pick them up at the airport.
The Banu is the first alien race that humanity ever had contact with.
There was a human pilot kind of out seemingly in the middle of nowhere named Vernon Tarr, who was scanning for a jump point.
Came upon a Banu vessel and fired upon it thinking it was like an enemy ship. But once they got close enough, they realized, oh heck, that's an alien.
It was a fun run-in that was initially very tense, but we quickly came onto friendly terms with them.
They were happy to find new trading partners, and we were very happy to encounter aliens for the first time.
The Tevarin are a martial society.
They immediately tried taking our territory and was very hostile from the get-go, and it started two large wars, the first Tevarin War and the second Tevarin War.
As a culture, they're actually my favorite. It feels like there's a lot of opportunities for really interesting, haunted characters.
A big motivation for them is that their people hadn't developed terraforming technology, and so their space to expand was very limited to worlds that were naturally habitable.
They were first assimilated into the UEE by force after the first Tevarin War, and after the second Tevarin War, they voluntarily assimilated themselves. They, as a people, decided collectively to throw their culture away.
Humanity got a lot of our shield tech from them, like air shields were a Tevarin invention, so we didn't have them before that war. You can see that in their ship designs, with the Prowler having these unique drop bays with the air shields for people to exit out of. A lot of Tevarin history was actually preserved by the UEE after the Tevarin themselves tried to purge it. Now, currently, we're seeing them enter a new phase of where the first Tevarin senator was recently elected.
This elevation of a Tevarin seems to have sparked a recent interest in a cultural revival. So Tevarin are now starting to relearn their once lost language and starting to dabble in bits of the culture that was once lost. I like that they're survivors. They saw the writing on the wall and they found a way to keep themselves and their families alive in spite of a horrific situation.
A great thing about the Xi'an, they're kind of known for their rather pungent eating choices amongst humanity.
They kind of poop like birds do, so it's just, they don't pee, they just do like the combo.
So if you see what looks like a bird bath in a Xi'an ship, that is not a water fountain. Don't drink from it.
The Xi'an society is based around these family house lines, and very important of tracing their lineage.
The emperor is their own house, and part of the thing is there's a sort of a mandatory service period for all Xi'an where they have to serve basically for the government.
And that's to help foster kind of a sense of unity amongst the Xi'an people.
Technologically speaking, are probably a little bit more advanced than we are.
They are masters of anti-gravity tech from a very long time before they discovered space, like jump tunnels and things like that.
Xi'an are very long-lived, and so their view of time is different than humanity's.
Partially because of their philosophy, Litova, which is a kind of a moral code and a system of belief.
There was very close to an interspecies war kicked off when we first met the Xi'an.
It was during sort of like this gold rush era where everybody was just out trying to terraform planets as quickly as they could to try and secure, mining rights.
The Xi'an, who were already in the system, saw these strange aliens trying to terraform a planet that was in their territory and went, that's a little weird. And then forcibly captured all the humans, contacted the human government and said, hey, you guys left something in our system. We don't like it. Please take it back. Vanduul are kind of mysterious. We don't know much about them. We know from observation that they seem to be very, very insular. They seem to believe in the idea of a meritocracy.
They're very powerful warriors. They're very hardy. They can exist for short times in the vacuum of space.
Our observers think that they're harvesting resources for some greater purpose, and some people think that they just really like to fight. And either one of those could be true.
They sort of were introduced to us when an outpost was mysteriously sort of wiped out.
Judging from their ships, they have very utilitarian aesthetics. They are oriented around the clans that they seem to come from, but we have never observed anything that indicates a central government.
Vanduul clans have raided humanity, land on planets, take as many resources as they can, and then flee back into Vanduul space.
And it's what sort of kickstarted a much more active, proactive military campaign against them. So they're sort of the alien culture that we are currently locked in a sort of war with.
Of course, there's a lot of debate going on against what is the end game of that war against the Vanduul. Does it mean wiping them out altogether? Does it mean setting up a border defense that they can't get through? Does it mean reclaiming the systems that we've lost to them?
Ideally, we want to put this in a position where like the players are the ones who are helping reveal some of this information. That's always been one of the things that's been very fun about this game, is this idea that like Chris wants the players to help unlock the mysteries of the universe.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that just like the human society of 2951, our alien neighbors are represented by a multitude of corporations and organizations. That a greater variety of alien vehicle offerings helps to build a more diverse and interesting universe to explore. And that for the aliens themselves, the Banu are clearly the best. Or the Xi'an. Maybe the Tevarin. Which one poops from their mouths? Don't forget to check out the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website for all the Alien Week details, and for Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckaby. We'll see you all next week.